Okay, Lamar Jackson was limited in practice on Wednesday, and I said, I don't know what limited means.
Yeah, and I told you, limited is like the stupidest thing there is out there.
It can be anything.
Limited means you went out to practice and you went through the walkthrough, and you didn't do anything else, really.
I finally have the policy.
Yeah.
The best part of all this stuff that's happened this weekend is I have the policy, and I've been studying it. Limited can be as little as merely being involved in individual drills.
Right.
All the way up to taking one snap less than the normal starter reps you would take if you're a starter. If you take one less, you're limited.
Right.
That's how broad
I bet he
it is.
went and threw individual to receivers where he just stood there and threw something like that, maybe a walkthrough.
He showed up 20 minutes late into practice.
I know.
Not that he showed up late, but he didn't come out onto the field.
Exactly right. Well, and you know, I was shocked when I heard Friday. I was like, full participant after 2 limited days? What the hell's going on here?
Because Friday morning, we were talking about which way the wind was blowing, and I said on the show to Michael Hawley, he's not playing. I don't think he's playing.
Yeah.
And then I see full participant, and it's like, maybe he's playing.
Yeah.
Because what message does that send?
Right.
Here we go, trending in the right direction. So here's what happens. And this all went on Saturday morning. And it's funny because I tried to get in a workout before we drove up here. And we had I love Pittsburgh. We came up, we had a nice dinner. Wife came with me. Nice hotel. Great job by everybody involved at NBC for the accommodations we had this week. We're ironically, coincidentally, I never know what the right word is. We were in a casino all day yesterday watching the games, but it was great. It was great. So anyway, after I finished my workout, I look at my phone, and somebody else in the media said, man, this Ravens stuff must be catnip for you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
When I saw it, I was like,
and
oh,
it's
my
like,
God.
Oh, shit.
Florio's going to have a day.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, right.
So here's what happens.
Sorry, London.
And I think I traced it all back to the first domino.
Yeah.
When Ian Rappaport of NFL Media tweeted on Saturday morning that Lamar Jackson took all the scout team reps on Friday, that sounded the alarm at 345 Park Avenue.
Right.
Because it is well established under the injury report policy that if you're a starter and you take anything less than all your normal reps, you were limited in practice.
Right.
So if you're the starter and you fully, because the Ravens are like, well, we don't know what you're talking about. He fully participated in practice. He did everything we expected him to do. He fully participated. He didn't miss a rep. No, but he took scout team reps the entire practice.
Right.
Scout team reps, not his normal reps.
Right.
And this has been on the books for at least 10 years. The gambling, not the gambling policy, but the injury policy has been there since 1947. Burt Bell, and we found the article a couple of years ago. They were trying to combat the edge that gamblers had. They wanted the public to not get screwed because, and they mentioned Sammy Baugh in the article.
Whoa.
If Sammy Baugh is injured and the public doesn't know and they think there's a good value, they're getting screwed because they don't know he's injured. So it was always a thing to deal with gambling. And now this policy, it's clear. And I was talking to somebody last night who's involved in, front office operations with one of the teams, one of the 2 teams who were involved in the game last night. And what you need to do, because the guy said to me, well, it is a long policy. Yeah, it is a long policy. You know what you need to do? You need to have someone read it, have someone understand it, have someone turn those words into action, and make sure you comply with it.
Yeah.
Because assuming the Ravens are, because what the Ravens said is, we thought he was full. And the league said, no, you got to change it to limited. So now the Ravens have a problem, Chris. And that's really where we are. The Ravens are going to get investigated. And their best case scenario is to convince the league it was a mistake. We'll let you hear what John Harbaugh had to say in a second. If the league thinks this was all about making guys like you and me think, oh, maybe he's playing, make the Bears think, oh, maybe he's playing, it's going to be a lot worse than it would have been.
Yeah.
And that's what the investigation is going to come down to. Were they trying to conceal his true status, or was it just, oh, no, sorry, we didn't understand the rules?
Like, come on. I'm sick of, people in powerful positions trying to play me like I'm stupid. I've had enough of
it's been working for 10 years.
Well, okay, but either way, it's stupid.
Not that you're stupid,
well,
but it's for all of us.
That's what I'm saying.
Just say whatever, do whatever, and if you say it loud enough, people will eventually shut up and let you do what you want to do.
The Baltimore Ravens are a top-end organization. They know all the rules. They're one of the best organizations in our sport. John Harbaugh's all over every detail there is. I mean,
not all of them.
Well, because he was. He was on it because he was going, wait, I'm going to make Chicago worry about Lamar in the run game and Lamar's runs and defending all that. and they're going to worry about all the scramble stuff that Lamar does, and it changes the dynamic of the football game. So, yeah, they were doing it for a competitive advantage.
You can't tell me that one of the most successful coaches in the NFL since he arrived in 2008 with a Super Bowl win and a team that consistently contends. And we know how coaches are. They are control freaks in a good way. They want to run everything. You can't tell me what John Harbaugh told me yesterday. And, John, I love you, but I don't buy what you said. And let's let everyone hear what John Harbaugh had to say when he was asked about the injury report snafu after the Ravens win.
I'm not involved in those rules. I don't know those particular rules. So that was probably, I think, in their defense, he practiced a full practice. I think they felt like because he did the same number of reps, it was a full practice. But when you dig in and you read the rule, at the end of the day, it wasn't right. So that's what it was. That's why as soon as we found out, we changed it. It's an honest mistake. I mean, it really is an honest mistake. I can tell you this. Nobody's trying to hide anything. I mean, there's no advantage. There's no advantage to be gained, with that. I mean, it was he practiced. His status was what it was. He was questionable. I do think if we'd have had the old status, maybe they would have said doubtful. Maybe, I don't know. But questionable or out. We weren't going to say out because he wasn't out, until Saturday when that conversation was had on the medical side.
Okay, I say this accepting the full risk that I'm going to get a phone call at some point today from John Harbaugh during which he expresses displeasure with what I'm about to say. But it was Harbaugh who was asked on Friday who's going to start. If they're not trying to hide anything, why didn't he just say, we got Tyler Huntley ready to start? Lamar practiced, but he only took scout team reps. If by some miracle he's good to go, maybe we'll reconsider it. But at some point this week, we had to decide to get Tyler Huntley ready to start the game, and he'll be starting. And you got Kyle Shanahan. He's far – because there were a lot of these games this past week. Kyle doesn't really play those games,
right.
And I give him credit for that.
No, he doesn't.
But there's no way you can tell me that the head coach doesn't know. And if the head coach doesn't know, well, he should know. And I think that's going to be one of the big takeaways from this. I think many teams, the properly functioning teams, are going to take a step back and they're going to say, what do we do with this injury? Like, if I'm the owner, it's like, explain to me, like I'm five,
right.
what we do and how we do it and how we make sure that I'm not going to have to write a check for $500,000 one of these days.
Yeah, no, I know. I hear you. I mean, obviously, it's going to put this on the radar of a lot of football teams. And of course, the NFL is going to be under the microscope here because of the NBA and the gambling thing. And we're going to question
everything. It couldn't have happened at a worse time.
As bad as it gets, right? And, again, I don't totally buy the Ravens story there. Yeah, I don't. Full participant. I'd love to see the practice, too. Scout team on a Friday can be – it's red zone in 7-on-7 inside the 15-yard line. You don't really run. You just sit there.
Because the hay's pretty much in the barn by then.
You're just kind of going, hey, here's some plays. You're not trying to go like contact as much on a Friday. You're keeping bodies fresh. More times than not, teams might not wear any shoulder pads or helmets, or they just wear helmets and no shoulder pads. So I think they know what they're doing. Maybe I'm wrong. I know John Harbaugh doesn't have my phone number, so he won't be calling me.
Well, I'll just send it to you.
Yeah, I don't buy the whole excuse there. I think they did it for a competitive advantage.
Here's a GM that, and that's another AFC team. So I mean, but still, I saw Harbaugh said it was an honest mistake. No way that's true. Every coach knows the designation's on Friday going into the weekend. He's trying to act like the medical team made a mistake. They don't make the final call on that.
Right.
And really, would we ever think that the coach wouldn't be involved? Why wouldn't the coach? Why? I don't know the rules. I mean, you've been the coach of the team since 2008. How the hell do you not know the rules? And if you don't know the rules, like, you get yourself in one of these spots where your only way out of trouble is to basically admit you don't know anything.
Right. You're
like
incompetent now.
Yeah, like,
right.
Hey, you know what? I've never. Yeah, I'm sorry I was driving on the wrong side of the road. I never read the rules about which side of the road I should drive on. I apologize. So I would have a lot more respect for the Ravens if they would just own up to it. The sense I got over the weekend was it was a lot of scrambling to blame someone, and I'm afraid that some people are going to take the fall who don't really
shouldn't
be taking the fall.
Right.
Because, it's training staff. It's PR. It's medical. It's an organizational thing, and I asked the league last night, and they've been very good about it. I'm still surprised they gave me that policy, because that policy, for somebody like me, that policy is like freaking crack, man.
Well,
I mean,
they know
it is
they
chock
know
full
the
of
environment
useful information.
Right now, they're hey, this is about the big shield.
Yeah.
So they're right now
Oh,
they're
yeah,
looking at it going, yeah, we want to make sure we make it. We give things to Mike Florio to show you we don't want this in the sport. We're trying to be fair.
I'll tell you this:
Yeah.
it may or may not. This may or may not be the case. There may or may not have been a significant order placed of Big Shield for educational purposes for people in the league this weekend.
For
It may
the
or may
Big
not have
Shield
happened.
members, I like it.
Well,
like
I
it.
mean, because look, it's so funny because when that all hit the fan on Thursday, I heard from so many people, "You were right. You were right. Yeah, you saw this happening." It's like, well, the Terry Rozier thing already happened. Like
Right.
Jonte Porter, it already happened.
Right.
It's just a matter of when's it going to happen in the NFL, and I think the big fear for the Ravens should be that they're going to come down on them the way they came down on the Saints because of the bounty scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about the climate at the time. They were at the front end of the class action that was filed against the league for concussion, failure to protect, failure to inform, failure to be what they should have reasonably been by way of taking care of their players. All that stuff was going on. People were talking about not playing football, kids not playing football. It was all 2012. And it was a cultural problem. The Saints were hardly the only team
Right.
that had bounties.
Right.
But they caught them red-handed, and they made an example out of them at a time when they felt like they had to tell the world, we take this seriously.
Right.
So the worst possible thing that could happen is to be the team that the day after, you can't make that part of it up. The day after the shit hit the fan for the NBA, boom, here we are with the Ravens. And the only thing that may save them, because I heard from one of the teams that would fall into the category of teams that would be more likely to get whacked, because you've got the favorite teams and you've got the teams that the league may whack. There's a perception among the teams that the league is likely to whack that the Ravens are one of the teams the league will take care of. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
All
We'll
right,
see. Keep
let's
digging there.
Oh, I will. I will. And the whole thing, it's amazing. It's sad. But the best thing that come out of it is people will get their act together. And because there's so much inside information. And one thing they need to do before we go, I'll say this. The league needs to go back and revisit the entire policy. There's too much ambiguity. There's too many opportunities for people to have inside information. And you can't tell me that members of the Ravens football team didn't know last week.
Right.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Lamar wasn't playing. And you can't tell me they didn't tell people Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that Lamar isn't playing.
Right.
You can't tell me that didn't happen, and they have no way of policing that, and that's part of the problem because that inside information, and I'll say this, I got one last thing. The reason we know about Terry Rozier, somebody took that information and they excessively bet on it to the point that it sent up alarms.
Right.
The red flags go up, the unusual betting activity. Well, what if somebody isn't a pig at the trough with that? What if somebody just has a regular supply of inside information that they don't bet on to the point where it sets off alarms?
Right.
You got somebody who's scamming the system and making money with that inside information, and maybe they're paying someone, and good luck catching them. So that's the problem the NFL faces. And that's something that I'm sure we'll be talking about more and more in the coming days and weeks. When we return, the Jets, Jets, Jets get their first win of the season. That's next on PFT Live. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.